fiery trials. And I thought about this morning. Seemed like we all, just life itself seems to be a trial, and it is. Um, we're all on kind of a spiritual trial because one day we're going to be judged, the final judgment. So we're all on trial. Um, but as I was reading through this a little bit yesterday, but I didn't get a whole lot of time, so I read through most of it this morning, and just kind of fit what I was going through some things yesterday. So very time appropriate, but I was just real stressed yesterday. Just had so much to do and uh, just so much going on, so much on my mind. But anyway, I was talking to someone yesterday on my way to the bank and just telling him how stressed I was and how much got going on. He was in a hurry, he had to hang up. Later on, he called me back. He said, Jason, you told me you're real stressed. I said, yeah. He said, well, have you ever been stressed before? I'm like, what do you mean? He said, have you ever been stressed before? I was like, yeah, I mean, all of us have. He said, well, did you make it through it? I'm like, yeah. So I got his point. He's saying, you're going to get through this. And of course I knew that, but sometimes we just need to be encouraged. We need to be reminded because let's all face it, all of us get stressed. We get just burdened down just with life and through trials. But let me go ahead and read this. As we look back through time at those who have gone before us throughout the Bible, and even in our more recent history, we will find a common thread that continues unbroken from the beginning. Just as there has always been at least a remnant who would faithfully serve the Lord, so have those individuals faced difficulties as a direct result of their choices, whether good or bad. We all know that's true. Whatever we do has results, direct result. If we do good, we're blessed. If we do bad, we're cursed. Jesus told us that we must count the cost in Luke 14 and 28. If the road to true discipleship had been a smooth one, he would have no reason to make such a statement. But Jesus knew his own future as well as the future of each one of us. His words were not only applicable to those in his immediate presence at the time of this parable, but they apply to all who choose to serve God faithfully from the beginning of time until the doors are shut. Abraham's faith was tested in his obedience. Joseph's faith was tested in his affliction. Moses' faith was tested in his willingness to bear the load of the entire early Jewish nation. Yet none of these difficulties were for God's benefit. He knew every choice that these men, as well as everyone else, would make from before the foundation of the earth. No, these trials were intended to strengthen the individuals who faced them, as well as encourage those who came after them, as they begin to understand the connection to their own struggles. So our struggles aren't for the benefit of God; they're for our benefit. They strengthen us, and not only for our benefit, but for those that come behind us. I mean, look at all our forefathers. A.J. Tomlinson. We could name a bunch of a huge list of examples that we've had that they've gone through the fire and they came through. They've gone through afflictions and troubles and trials and persecutions, and God brought them through it. So let's not get stressed. Let's not just say woe is me and just get so stressed that we just can't function. At times I've been so stressed I just couldn't function. But anyway, Daniel chapter 3, verses 15 through 18. But if you worship not, ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our God, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. These three had no assurance going into this trial that they will live to tell of God's miraculous salvation power. Excuse me. But they could not imagine the pain of the flames being any worse than their failure to serve God faithfully. They knew that after their destruction, this earthly king would have no more power over them. If this was the end, then they had been faithful, then they had been the faithful servants whom God had called them to be. In his ignorance, the king had stated that no God could deliver from this fiery trial, but we all know how this account ended. Events such as this should strengthen our faith, encouraging us throughout our own difficulties. As we face our trials, this will give us reason to rejoice, not in the sufferings themselves, but in the fact that when our affliction is at its worst, Jesus is not only walking by our sides, but he himself has taken part in those same afflictions. 1 Peter 4:12-14. Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened unto you. But rejoice inasmuch as you are partakers of Christ's sufferings, that when his glory shall be revealed, ye may be glad also with exceeding joy. If ye be reproached for the name of Christ, happy are ye, for the Spirit of glory and of God resteth upon you. On their part he is evil spoken of, but on your part he is glorified. When in our faithfulness to God trials do come our way, let it bring to mind those who have gone before us, those whose lives made a difference to the wandering souls around them and down through the ages, who, while in the midst of hopeless circumstances, cried out to the God who is not bound by the frailty of temporal situations, knowing that his will must be accomplished at any cost. The trials which we face remind us of our own imperfections and compel us to continue to grow in our service to the Lord. They make clear the fruit of our past sins and reinforce our desire to strive forevermore of God's perfect will in our lives. They constrain us to lay down every ounce of pride and self-will so that God might have his perfect way in us. The trials which we face may cause some to consider us failures. Yet if we remain faithful, we will eventually shine forth as gold, purified by the fires of affliction. Isaiah 48:10 says, I have chosen thee in the furnace of affliction. Over the years, this verse has been applied to many individuals. Some have accepted the purging, and others have fled from the crucible too soon, only to be found wanting in the end. Whether to purge us of our old sins or to bring us to the blessed state of perfection, the trials of this life are intended for our benefit. Those who have gone before us have faced their own difficulties and have made their final choices. Let us look to the examples which God has left for us to follow, as well as those whose path should be avoided, so that this verse can be applied to us as well, if we will own it. I have chosen thee in the furnace of affliction. Amen. Any prayer requests?